Hi everyone, this is Christy, and I thought about doing this earlier and I just didn't do it because I don't know why I didn't do it time or whatever. But since the kids are sleeping and London is off to school, I figured I would do a few minutes of documentation at least. Not sure that I'll ever do anything with this video, but at least we have it. So Mark and I started foster training classes about a month ago. We decided back, I guess in August, we did the first call or whatever, what do you call it, like orientation call. And so we started the process back then. And it's been a long journey for me. Like 30 years long. When I was in high school, my best friend all throughout most of middle school and all of high school, her family kept foster kids, and they had a real impact on me. Their kids were medically complex kids, so that there was something going on, or they've had major trauma, or just different things, drug babies and just different kind of things. And I can't tell you how sweet the kids were, and I'm sure that they had a lot of stuff to go through with being kind of like a trauma situation, every time they got a new child or everything. But anyway, so I knew since high school that that's something that I was supposed to do. And, oh, that's good. And so when you're 18 years old, you don't think about it. It's just something that you're going to do. There you go. But I grew up all the way through. I didn't get married till I was 25, I think. And I didn't think, hey, probably I'm going to have somebody else's input on this. So I got married and didn't really think too much about doing the foster care. It's, again, just something that I knew that I was going to do. And so my husband, I don't even know why we had the conversation. We'd probably been married maybe 10 years. But he was, I don't even know. I don't know how the conversation came up, because I certainly wasn't thinking about foster care yet at that time. But he said, that's not something that he would ever be interested in. That's, don't ask him to do that, because that's just not something that he's interested in. And keep in mind, he is 10 years older than I am. I'm 46, so he's 56. But, 10 years ago, he was, 46? So that's not, that's not 25 and doing foster care. That's being an adult, a real adult, and thinking about children. So I understood, and I just thought, I've missed my chance. I haven't done what I should have done, and this is going to be one of those things that I regret in my life, that I didn't do what I know that I was supposed to do. And so probably about 6 months ago or so, my cousin and his wife is very, like, child oriented. She wants to help children. I don't know, she's just very child oriented. So they went through the foster care program, did everything you had to do. So it took them about a year, I think, to get finished and then certified, um, which to me is, crazy. But that they did that, and they got the first call. I think the day they got certified. I think they filled up their home, with 3 new kids pretty quick, like probably within a couple weeks. They put the first child, and the child had a sibling in care already, and so they moved that child, or they fought my cousin and his wife, and mostly his wife. His wife is a stay-at-home mom, so I say my cousin his wife, but he works full time outside of the home, and she works from her home, homeschools her kids and all that kind of stuff. So really, it was her that took care of the situation. But anyway, the foster child that they had a sibling in foster care, and they fought really hard to get the two of them reunited. It was a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, so they were very young. Um, but they just felt like that was the right thing to do, to have the siblings together. Um, but anyway, and so my husband and I went over to their house to, cook out or eat or birthday party or something. I don't really remember what. And the little boy, the 2-year-old little boy, whose hair is corkscrew crazy, blonde, 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 but his hair is corkscrewed. He's so cute. He's so cute. Anyway, he took a liking to my husband. I don't know if it's because my husband is big and his foster dad is big. They're both, probably 6'4", 6'5". They're very tall, very big guys. Um, I don't know, but the little boy just absolutely took a liking, loving, laughing, whatever, to Mark. And Mark did the same for him. And from then on, everything changed. So Mark was more, I guess, open. Yeah, he was just open. Like it changed from, no way, this is not something I ever want to do, to I feel like if we need I feel like if we can help these kids, we should. And it went from that to, before we ever had the first class, it went from that to, Christy, if we get a baby in here, I don't think I could let a baby go. So he's talking about adopted. But that's not what I want to do. My heart is not in adoption. My heart is, I want to be a safe place that these children can go and stay, whether it's 3 nights or 3 years or whatever it is, but that these children can go and have a safe place, a loving home, um, in a family that cares about them, but that cares about reunification. Um, I understand that there are going to be cases that reunification is just not an option. They're going to have to find a permanent place, or they're going to have to be adopted. Um, I understand that, but that's not something that I have a burden for. I'm not saying that's not something I want to do, because I don't know. We may end up with 4 adopted kids. I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm not against adoption. I'm not saying that that's something I never do, but my heart is for reunification. I would like to be the family that supports the birth family. Whether it's, drugs, whether it's bad parenting, whether it's anger management, um, you know, whatever it is. It could be something as easy as, they're choosing a boyfriend that is abusive to the child, over the child. Um, I want to be a place where they can come and be safe and help the birth family, as much as possible. I don't. I'm not looking for adoption. I'm not looking for a child. I don't want to keep a child. That's not where my heart is. I understand that it's going to be hard. I understand that, um, if we get a child in for 6 months or a year, it's going to be very difficult, uh, on me, on my family, to allow that child to go back out of care, I guess is what it is. Back home. But um that's that's I don't know what the words to say, like, but that's what I want to do. I don't want that hurt. I'm not saying I want that kind of hurt, that kind of sadness of letting a child go and that kind of thing, but I want to be able to be a part of that coming back together. So anyway, so we have started on our journey, on foster care journey, and apparently there's a real need for foster care parents in our area. There are about 70 or so people going, or 70 or so couples, like summer couples. So it's probably 100, some are singles, but some are couples. So there's probably 100 to 125 people going um, through foster care training and everything with me right now, with Mark and myself. And I find it very odd that uh, they make it so difficult to take these classes, and to get involved. I had to call probably 4 or 5 times, um, and they assured me my name is on there and you're good to go, blah blah, and I never got any kind of information. And it wasn't until I emailed the head of the department that I was able to actually get registered, get a registration link, and get registered for classes. I registered myself and registered my husband, and I just, for for needing so many people, I found it very difficult to even just get registered for these classes. I mean, it's crazy. And the other thing I find very difficult is the classes are, uh, it's an 8-week training session. The classes are 3 hours long. And so my husband goes to sleep. He works. He gets up at 5 o'clock, 5:15 or so every morning, and he is in bed by 8 o'clock. So these 3 hour classes are from 6 to 9. So he has a really hard time from like about 7:45 to, excuse me, to 9 o'clock. Um, his body starts shutting down at like quarter till 8, and by 8 o'clock he's done. He's done. So it's very difficult for him to get anything out of these classes. Um, but he has to go. So it's kind of like uh, one of those things that, I don't know. It's just they make it very difficult. And on one hand, I understand why it's kind of, it's not an easy thing, because you don't want uh, just everybody getting access to kids. Obviously, you want it to be like a difficult thing, but I don't find that it should be difficult to, at the very least, get started. So that's one of the things that I've noticed, and I in becoming involved. Um, Eventually, I'm going to say something, because that's, there has to be a better way. I'm not looking to get in and become administration or anything like that, but there has to be a better way, an easier way to get people involved. Um, Last weekend we found out, or I found out, my cousin told me, that he was talking to someone. So I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend, whatever. But my cousin told me that they had a fast track foster care class that was going to be available at Bethany Church, which is a local church here in Baton Rouge. And as soon as he told me that, I want to say he texted me. I can't remember, but I just said, send me the information, or I might have talked to him on the phone. I said, send me the information. Well, I was like that. If we could do this in a weekend and get finished, that would be way better for Mark, because for him having to stay up past 8 o'clock, it's just difficult for him. So I called about those fast track classes, and the lady was very sweet. It was CPS, or the department, not CPS, but whatever it is, and it had partnered with the church, and they were going to do fast track classes. Not were, are doing. It's not something that was going to happen. It's something that's currently happening. But this was on Thursday that I called, and they were closing down because the classes were Friday. And unfortunately, my husband was on call, which means he works every day. So he had to go into work. So there's no way that we could have done the first weekend of classes. And what they did, they've taken 2 weekends, and you're having all of those classes during those weekends. So it's a Friday night, all day Saturday, and then part of the day Sunday, I think, if I remember right. So you have to do that for 2 weekends. Well, I just was like, that's just, you know, they have one in January, coming up in January. So it's October right now. And they have another one coming up in January. But we are now almost halfway through the classes. So we're just going to push through and continue on with the classes. But I wish we had known about the fast track, because that would have been, we could have rescheduled his on call. Um, he could have changed with somebody, and we could have uh, done the classes and got it done in 2 weekends. There would have been 2 full weekends. Excuse me. But that's neither here nor there. But that was something that I thought was kind of cool, that they had like a fast track. Um, I really feel like there has to be another way to do these classes. Before COVID, they did these classes in person, and there's just no way that we couldn't, we couldn't do them in person. That would mean having to hire a babysitter, and the investment, or the money um would just not, I don't want to say it wouldn't be worth it, but it would be very difficult. Right now we've got our son in private school, um and with the economy like it is, we just, we make the same amount of money, but everything is doubled in price. Gas, milk, creamer for coffee, I mean everything. And so we just couldn't, we couldn't do that. That is good coffee. So anyway, um I just wanted to document our journey. I haven't brushed my hair. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe probably 7 o'clock in the morning. Like I said, the kids are sleeping, and I just um, I have a few minutes, so I thought I would document. But anyway, so far that's what our journey is. We are in a southern state. We are in Louisiana, and so obviously every state is different. The requirements are different. The classes you have to do are different. Everything is different. I understand that. So what I have to go through might not be the same thing that you have to go through. Our journey might be different, but we, you know, for me, it's been almost 30 years that I have been neglecting to do what I know that I've been called to do. Um, it's just, you have kids, you get married, have kids, live life and you don't think about what you're supposed to do, and then so that's not something that I said to Mark, hey, this is something I'm going to do or something I want to do or something like that. Like, I just didn't, as a child, or not child, but young adult, I didn't think about that. So I'm very grateful to him to have this opportunity um, to do this, because I know that this is something I've already, looked back on it with regret, not um, having done it at this point yet. So this is a chance I'm very grateful for, because I no longer have to think about it with looking back with regret. I'm doing something about it. We're doing something about it. And he's on board. My kids are on board. Um, and that's another thing. We're going to see how that goes. My children are a little bit older. I have a 14-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Two of my children are older. One of them is younger. Um, and so that's going to be a learning and stretching and growing type thing with them. Um, so we'll see how that all goes. But anyway, that's the first part of our first foster journey. Um, Probably after the next couple classes, maybe I'll make another video. I don't know, but that's what we're doing. That's what our goal is, to reunify families. We want to be a safe place. Our goal is to be a safe place where they can, come and, stay as long as they need to stay, and then go back home. I don't want to keep your child. I don't want to keep the children in foster care. Um, I want them either to be reunified or sent them back into another family, their forever family. So I want to take care of them, give them all the love that they, deserve, that we can do, we can give them. I mean, they're going to be part of our family, but then they're going to move on, and that's what I want to do. So anyway, I guess we'll see. That's our foster care journey. That's our, our desire. We want to help children. So we have a little work to do um, on the house. As you can see right now, I'm sitting just in a recliner. Um, but we're waiting on a couch to be delivered to put our living room kind of together. We're switching around our rooms. We just have had, so we had a 3-bedroom house, and we had plans to add on to this house a master suite and laundry room, and excuse me, and we signed the papers for the loan about 2 years ago, and we hadn't even made the first payment on the mortgage, and I got sick and was in the hospital, was in ICU for a month, was in rehab for a month, did home health for 2 months, and then I did rehab for a year. And so in that time that I was getting well, and I won't say that I'm perfect, I'm not like I was, that which is another, concern about foster care. We're going to have to take small children, because I can't like run after a child. I'm not able to run anymore. I can't even really walk fast, if you want to be honest. But it's just how it is. I'm very thankful to be able to walk at all. Uh, my writing is kind of iffy. Nah, it's really iffy. You can't really read my writing anymore. And I don't type, but, uh, you have to make accommodations, which we'll have to do. We won't be able to have, kind of older children, because I'm afraid uh, about about them running like toward the road and not listening. I'm afraid. So they're not going to be the children that we get in our home are going to be young and not be very mobile. just because I just don't think that I personally am going to be able to keep up with them or catch them if they're a running child. Um, are running and not listening. I don't mind them running. I mean, we've got a couple acres here, so it's not like, they could run out and just, run out in the road or anything. But if a child runs and doesn't listen and keeps going, uh, but I don't have any kind of way to stop them, and I don't, I would certainly hate for anything to happen. So I just, it'll just be younger children in our home. But anyway, and so when I got sick and I was at least a year kind of recovering from that, which I'm now 2 years out from it, and I was really recovering for 2 years. They told me that within the first year I'm gonna get back what I got, and I won't see much progress, and that's how it's been. Like within the first year, so so basically I didn't have a stroke, but it was kind of like a stroke. My whole right side was affected. So I had to learn to walk again. I couldn't lift my arm. I still can't lift it all the way up. Well, yeah, I mean, I mostly can. Like, it's like, let's see, what is it? What did she tell me? It's like, okay, I'm gonna use numbers. They're not real numbers, but like if it's 100% lifted, I can 90% lift. So I could change a light bulb if I needed to. I can put dishes up in overhead cupboards. I have a harder time with that. Sometimes I have to start with my right hand and finish with my left hand. But anyway, and so there's just, a few things still that I have. I have balance issues and just a couple of things that I have to be careful with. But anyway, so in the year that I was sick, um, not the 2 years that it has taken me to kind of get where I am, but in the first year, um, is when we had the election. So I got sick in October, and the election obviously was in November. Um, I didn't believe my husband when he told me who won. And now remember, I was like on a vent. Um, like I had very limited communication with my husband. We spoke sign language. And thank God we knew our letters, because there's absolutely no way I could have communicated with him if I didn't know most of my letters of sign language. I there was a couple that I was kind of iffy on, because remember, I haven't done letters for sign language since I was like a kid, like third or fourth grade. I mean, it's been decades. Um, so anyway, so I couldn't communicate. So in that time, we voted and got a new president. Um, I was still at home at my parents' house in home health, like when Biden took over, and so in the next year, everything went up. Like the money that we had mortgaged on our house was a paid off house. We paid it off right before we had a flood back in 2015. And so we mortgaged it, and we mortgaged on our house. We were going to add a master suite, a laundry room, and a storage room. So we didn't have much stuff, but I mean, because of the floods and hurricanes in our area, lumber is expensive. Everything is expensive. So when I was better and we needed to start moving forward again with the building process, um, we just couldn't afford to do it. Everything was so expensive. We just couldn't afford to do what we had planned to do. So we ended up taking a carport, making it into a master bedroom. Um, and so we are now switching our old room, which is really the master of the house, to be our 4 year old daughter's. Our 4 year old daughter has slept in the bed with us for 4 years, and I am tired of her being in bed with us. We can't do things that we like to do. She hogs the covers. I mean, just everything. So anyway, so so we're making her bedroom. So we're in the process. We redid my 14-year-old daughter's bedroom, and we are in the process right now. I'm painting furniture. We have painted her room. Uh, I need to finish the furniture, and then I want to seal like around the baseboards. I want to just run a bead of silicone. I've got silicone to run around just to seal them and make it look nice. So anyway, so we're just now really getting to a point where we can have foster children even in our home. Our home is not quite ready to welcome children in. We don't have her bedroom in the back finished yet. And then we don't have her couch, so we have toys in here, and so it's a little bit messy. Um, but we're getting there. It's kind of like one of those things. I don't know if you're like a cleaner with ADD or whatever, but like I start one thing and I have to get like 15 things going, and I'm still not finished with the first thing. But that leads to starting something else, which leads to starting something else, which leads to starting something else, which, means you have a whole bunch of stuff, but not anything finished. So that's where we are. So I'm hoping that we get finished. I'm thinking by Thanksgiving, which will be the mid little bit end of November, and then we've got other stuff that we need to do for foster care. I've got my birth certificate ordered, which I know we didn't have to have. I've gotten my marriage license ordered, or certificate, my marriage certificate, or whatever they call that. I had that until we had the flood. I had it on my refrigerator, just on my refrigerator, with a magnet. But we lost that in the flood that we had in 2016, and we don't need it for anything. So I've never have gotten another one. So I had to order that. So we've got to do a couple things. We have to get physicals, which Mark and I do that every year, and then we take the kids to do that every year. However, London, my two older children, I had the appointment for them, and then my husband got COVID again. So we all quarantined, and I completely forgot about their appointment. So I have to make an appointment again for them, and let my doctor, or let the kids' doctor see them. I think my son maybe might be due for a shot. I can't remember exactly, but um, so anyway, that's something I have to do. So we have some little things that we have to do. We've already had our well water tested, because we are on not city water but well water. So you have to, for certification, we had to test the well water to make sure that it's safe, for the kids to drink and be in and all that kind of stuff. So we've done that. Um, I'm trying to think what else that we have to do. Uh, so I need to look for Mark's birth certificate. I think we have his birth certificate. Um, I think his mom sent it to us, and I think we have it. If not, I'll have to order that. But I've ordered mine. I've got the kids' birth certificates. I've ordered our marriage certificate, or whatever it is. Um, Doctor's visits we have to do. I haven't done any of that yet. They sent a packet, and we haven't. I've been to the post office, but I haven't gotten the mail to see that if it's in there yet or not. But so I have a packet that I have to get. But I think that's about it at this point. We haven't done anything. I had to last week register uh, for continuing education classes. So I understand that this is not something with foster care. It's almost like I would say like haircutting, or you know whatever, has like a continuing education program. But we'll have to continue the education. I think the certification that we have is good for, or the certification that we're getting. We don't have it yet. Is good for maybe 2 years or a year or two, And so we don't have to have certification immediately. We can, get in the system and, have a little bit of time and then have to do classes again. So, so anyway, that's where we are. That's what we're doing. Again, it's kind of one of those things. And I'm sorry, I haven't even, like I said, I haven't brushed my hair. I haven't done anything. I've pulled it out of my face. That's about it. So, but anyway, that's our foster care journey so far, and I encourage you, if it's something um, that you feel called or led to do, that you don't do what I did and have to look back um, with regret. It's just not. It's something I know I was called to do, and it's not something that I even thought about discussing with my partner. Um, back in the day, back when, before I got married, there was no compromise. I did what I want to do, and that's just, you can take it or leave it. That's just how it was. But once you get married, you realize that you have to compromise. Uh, and so things are a lot different 20 years later than they were 20 years ago. I'm a lot more mellow about things. Um, than I always thought that I would be. Uh, but that's a good thing because that's how you grow. Compromise with people, and with people. I'm only married to one person, one man, so I don't have to compromise with people, but I have to compromise with my husband. But so that's something that I probably should have talked to him about before we ever got married, but I didn't do it. And again, that's my fault. It's just I'm very thankful that the Lord has given me the opportunity for my husband to have a change of heart and for me to be able to do this, because now I'm not going to have to look back with regret. I regret that it's taken 30 years or 25 years. Um, no, closer to 30. 30 years to do it, or to start this journey. But it is what it is. I mean, you just, it is what it is. So anyway, that's all I've got for our foster care journey so far, and that's how we're starting, and we'll see how it goes. It's, we're not quite halfway finished with our certification classes, so we've got I think 5 more classes, 5 more 3 hour classes. So on Tuesday nights, we have to do it for 3 hours. And the thing about it is, let me just talk about that. Like, I've been on here an hour, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. It's very interesting. These classes are very um, common sense type classes. I mean, you're learning how many children are involved in foster care, so you're learning a little bit, but like 95% of it is common sense. Like how you would treat a child. Um, if they can't express themselves, or it's very interesting. And one thing that we did learn this past week is that most children in foster care, they may be 10 years old, but they have the mindset and attitude of like a 5 year old. Or just like with my foster care, or my cousin's children, foster children, they have a 2 year old. If he walks, runs, plays, but he is nonverbal. He doesn't talk yet. Um, and he should definitely be talking. And so that's something that I've learned. But a lot of this stuff for 3 hours is just like common sense stuff. It's like common sense stuff. And a lot of it, like this past week, we talked um, about if you have a teen in your home, um, what driver's license, let them go out on dates, let them, hang out with friends, things like that. What's allowed, what's not allowed, blah, blah, blah. And what's weird about it, not weird, or I don't know, it's not going to pertain to us. We're not going to have children that are teens in our home. Um, that's just not, it's just not, I, I don't, I don't want there to be any kind of like weirdness with my two older children. I have, like I said, I have a 14-year-old and 12-year-old. And so we had to be on uh, the Zoom call last night for 3 hours, but they didn't even really talk about stuff that pertained to us. So I find that could be like a better thing. Like they could either, maybe do breakouts, um, and do stuff more age appropriate or age specific would probably be the better term. Because we sat there for 3 hours last night and this stuff didn't really pertain to us. So I found that kind of strange that we had to sit through that when it doesn't really, it's not going to pertain to us. So anyway, that's just a side note. What, I don't know what that is. That is my hair, or oh, that's what it is. That was just absolutely bugging me. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so I've been on here for way too long. I'm It's light now outside. It was dark earlier. It's light outside now, so anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna try to keep updated with our foster care journey. Like I said, this is something that I'm excited to be involved with. I don't want to say I'm excited. It's not like happy excited. I'm very sad that there are so many children that foster care affects. Um, it makes me sad, but I knew that families had issues before because I've worked with the Department of Juvenile Justice in Kentucky at a boys' home for about a year, and it was very eye opening to be able to see the difference in parenting styles. I thought most kids were brought up like me. I was, brought up, went to a, not, okay, well, not every kid was like me. I went to private school. I went to private school because my dad was a pastor. So I went to a Christian school because he got pastor kind of rates. So I know that being a pastor's child is a little bit different than being a regular child, but I thought, you know, parents love, care, and do whatever they can for you. That's what parents do. Um, and so when I worked at the boys' home, the group home, um, for the state of Kentucky for a year, I was shocked that the parents don't even like, I don't want to say don't care. And obviously that's not the case in every case. But the like, for example, here's where it really hit me. We had a family day, and I can't remember. We might have, it's been 25 years ago. I don't remember, but I think it was like maybe once a month we had a family day, which was okay. So I worked at a step down home. So it's not like a prison. So it's like the kids got out of jail or foster care or whatever. Kentucky believes in rehabilitation. So for kids in situations where they're in trouble with the law for different things, it could be. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, and we didn't know. So it could have been from something like stealing a car to, killing, you know, killing someone. That's how it was. But Kentucky believed in rehab. So I worked at a stepdom home or a group home. So basically, they've done their time or they've done, whatever they have to do, but they're not quite ready to go back home or into society or whatever it is. So they would come to where I worked, which was like a group home. So the kids there could have jobs. We took them back and forth to work. Um, we taught them how to cook. We taught them how to do laundry. We taught them how to schedule things, meds, everything. So that's something. We taught them how to live an adult life in society. But they were still underage. So they still had a specific curfew, that kind of thing. But there were days I think it was once a month, that would be family days, and so their families could come and either visit with them or take them and go eat or whatever. And I can remember, and it was boys' home, so it was all boys, no girls. And I can remember boys, a couple of boys, not all of them, again, each case is different. But I can remember a couple of boys waiting and waiting and waiting and ended up waiting all day, and their parents never came. They just didn't show up. They didn't call, say, hey, we've had an accident, or nothing. And I couldn't imagine my parents being like that. There's no way. For example, my parents are 70, both, no, my mom is 77, my dad is 76. He'll be 77 in December. And when I got sick back in October of 2020, they had been in Texas for June, July, August, September, 4 months maybe, something like that, 4 or 5 months. And when I got sick, I told my husband, don't call him. Well, a day into being in the hospital, I realized this is something different. And thank God that it did. But they were back from the Dallas area to the hospital where I was in Baton Rouge in 6.5 hours. Now, it is an 8-hour drive from Dallas to, back home, back here. So they dropped everything. They didn't question anything. They got in the car and they drove. And they drove every day. I ended up in New Orleans. They drove every day to see me, to spend the day with me every day. My dad came every day because my mom, they had COVID protocols, so I can only have 2 visitors, period. Not 2 at a time, but 2 visitors per day. So mom would come one day and dad would come one day. Mom would come one day and dad would come one day. And then Mark would come every day. And so they came every day to see me. When I got out, I was released back to their house. Home health came to their house. And then they ended up for the next year taking me to therapy in Baton Rouge, which is about, a 35-minute drive every day. No, not every day, but every time, 3 times a week. So that's the kind of people my parents are. And that's just what I was used to. Well, these kids' parents didn't even come see them. I mean, they didn't even, they don't they didn't care enough to come and even see them, you know? And so that hit me very hard in that, I was going through life, or I am going through life, or I've got it so good that I have blinders on. Like, I just didn't realize that people would treat their children like that. And I'm not saying that these kids, you know, they didn't deserve to be in a home. I don't know why they were in the home to begin with. That wasn't my concern. That it didn't matter why they were there. We weren't there to judge them. We were there to help them become a productive citizen and member of society. And so anyway, I just didn't realize that so many children have such a rough lot. So I want to be the place that the children can come, that the parents can work on themselves to do what they need to do, whether it's parenting classes, getting rid of so and so, whatever they have to do. I want to help them do that. I want to help them work their case plan so that they can get their child back. Um, because I just think that that's what, in a lot of cases, some people just need some help. Some people just can't do it by themselves, and they just need some help. I need 3 months or 6 months that I've had these children, or I've had this child, but I'm struggling. I need help, whether it's, with drug addiction, whether it's mental issues, um, whatever it is. I want to be the one that they can feel comfortable that their child is with me, but that I am not overstepping where I should be. Obviously, there are rules and things like that, but you know, when the time comes and the A-OK is given, this child is yours. It's your child. I have loved it. I've brought it into our family. Like I said, whether it's a month, whether it's a few days, whether it's 2 or 3 years, I don't want to make any difference. I want you to take your child because your child deserves to be with their mom. Might not be a perfect situation, um, whatever they have, or whatever they have to go back to. Um, but that's what I like. So we'll see. We will see. We've got, like I said, 5 weeks left, and I will update y'all again after the next couple of classes, and we'll see how everything is going. So, all right, adios.